We're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, and this is the HyperX Summer Series season finale. It's the HyperX Indy 125, live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brickyard as we get ready to go to cap off a season of excitement. Justin Prince, alongside Samuel Ryman in the broadcast booth this evening, with Sean Ambrose in the director's seat, and Dougie Beard on the cameras this evening for what's expected to be an exciting race here at Indianapolis. Before we talk about what to expect for this championship finale, let's take a look at your Gsrc Lap guide for the best way to get around this great American track that has seen hundreds of years of history.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see our guide around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The first motorsports competition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway took place in 1909. The track's original surface of crushed stone and tar proved problematic. The owners paved the track with more than 3 million bricks, giving rise to the nickname the Brickyard. Indy isn't known for its banking, with only 9 degrees of banking in all 4 corners. Indy is unique because those 4 corners are individual corners. Each is separated by a short chute. Turn 1, you find yourself battling tunnel vision with the grandstands and pit road on both sides of the track closing in as you're trying to hit your mark. Turn 2 and down the backstretch, the drivers are often facing wind. Turns 3 and 4, also known as the north end of the speedway, flow exactly like turns 1 and 2. Surviving 2 world wars, 10 popes, and older than sliced bread, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the most historic racing venue in America. Stepping onto the hallowed grounds of Indy, you feel over the 100 years of history. Winning at Indy requires all of the luck, skill, drive, and determination that you have. Many have come to taste the milk and have left empty-handed. The yard of bricks at the start-finish line pays tribute to the original surface. Kissing the bricks at Indianapolis Motor Speedway after your victory has quickly become an Indy tradition. With that being said, that's just scratching the surface of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And when you think about it, all these drivers are just chasing a glass of milk over 3 feet of bricks. It's amazing how those simple things mean so much to so many people. This has been our guide to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Strap on in and enjoy the show.
Look at your Gsrc Lap guide as the cars continue their pack practice for what's expected to be a difficult race today. It's Brandon Samuel Ryman as we get ready to tackle this very difficult racetrack. Normally you see open wheel machines at the Brickyard. Today, we'll see how these Ford GTEs handle this circuit, Samuel.
Yeah, normally you see open wheel cars here, or you see the NASCAR stock cars here. Both produce entirely different races, and I think these Ford GT sports cars are going to produce another kind of entirely different race. Our viewers would have just seen in the background there a big one taking place over in turns 3 and 4 during practice. Again, this is just practice. Obviously, that's not going to have any impact on the race. But will be interesting today because, as we'll get to in our race details in just a moment, these drivers do get one fast repair, which is something that's not normal. I would even say unprecedented for a Lionheart. And I think that could change the kind of racing we see here today. Could be a bit more aggressive than normal. And of course, it's a season finale with the championship on the line. So lots of fun about to happen here in Indianapolis.
Indeed, let's take the time to break down your championship fight because Aaron Morgan has a 42-point buffer to Ryan Otis entering tonight. Mike Rasmus gained 9 positions after his run last week to be able to get just 54 points back in the standings. Chris Fowler also mathematically within range, 55 points back. And then there is a tie for P5. Kinsella and Graf are tied with 63 points. Here's the thing. The maximum amount of points you can get in the championship is 63, meaning both of those drivers who are in 5th need to start on the pole and lead the most laps if they want any shot of the championship In other words, they are the long shots. If anything happens to Morgan, that opens up the door for Otis, Rasmus, and Fowler to fight for the title.
Yeah, well, one good thing for Morgan here is field size is, a little bit on the small side. I mean, it's not small, it's still 20 cars, but for Lionheart, that's a little bit smaller than normal. And that means even if Morgan has a bad race, as soon as a couple of cars drop out, he's going to be eligible for a nice little handful of points. So that will give him a bit of a boost over those guys who are the long shots.
Looking at the calculations per points, the separation needing to essentially not finish last. The race details for today. You talked about them a little bit. Let's go more in depth for this race today.
Yeah, we've got those brought up here. So here we are. See, round 4 of 4 in the first ever Ford GT Summer Shootout Series. So new car, new challenge for the Lionheart drivers. They're racing the Ford GTE car. They're all racing a fixed setup. Lionheart doesn't pull the iRacing fixed setup, so they tweak it a little bit so that everyone has a setup that they're comfortable with and that they can have a good race with. And honestly, I'm pretty sure iRacing never built a fixed setup for the Ford GT at Indianapolis anyway, so they did have to do something special here. We're about to have qualifying. It will be 2 laps for each driver. They'll all have the track to themselves at the same time, so we'll see who can get that critical pole position and the bonus points, and it will be a 50-lap race. But most important thing, not on this screen here, 1 fast repair. And I think, Justin, that has changed the entire picture of what we're about to see.
I think so too, especially with this pack expected today for the HyperX Summer Series. The pace is quick here. 53 seconds in the pack today. 2-3 wide these drivers have been practicing in, up to 4 wide even down the straightaways. It's been discussed, in fact, from George Zardo. He sent me a message before today saying he was expecting drivers to even bump draft in these cars.
Yeah, we'll see how well that works out. We've seen plenty of wrecks during this practice session. But what I love right now, a couple of our viewers might be confused why we don't have time intervals next to Conor Harrington and Big Joe Hassett's name there on the left-hand side timing column. It's because they've turned an identical time to Chris Fowler. We have a 3-way tie for the fastest time in practice.
Well, that's unheard of, with the 53.414 being that time. Ricky Hart and Tommy Ryan the top 5. But this is essentially, how do I put this, the super speedway version of what you would see in this type of car here at the Brickyard today. Something where you need to carry momentum, it seems, today to be able to try and move forward, and may need some help to be able to do so. And hope you don't get involved in the big one, because yes, it's only 50 laps, Samuel. These 50 laps are expected to be crazy, as we've already seen with 4 wide of the lead group.
Yeah, here we go. They're going 4 wide in practice right now, and I'm not sure they're going to make it through turn 1 here. They're going to try to... Let's see. I'm actually don't really cover what happens down in practice, but I'm curious to see how this works out. Oh, Rasmus, there they go.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, they actually did a good job at saving it. Oh, no, here we are. They're all going to wipe out over in turn 2.
So in other words, this is where, if you are an oval specialist in racing the stock cars a lot today, Samuel, that may be where that experience comes in today, to be able to drive on the super speedways, because it's going to drive like one today.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out, because some drivers do have more stock car experience on iRacing than others. I'm not sure how much it's going to help them, because this car here, I don't think really drives like an IndyCar, but it doesn't really drive like a stock car. I mean, don't get me wrong, super speedway-like racing, we do have that in Lionheart quite often, in retro and IndyCar, when we go to the big circuits. So some drivers are a bit more experienced with it than others. So it's going to be a bit of a comfort level thing, I think there will be some drivers at the back just trying to ride around to the finish line.
Qualifying's underway, and immediately several drivers jumping on the racetrack. Your weather conditions for qualifying: in sim starting temp 78 degrees air temp, 100 degrees the track temp as a result, with mostly cloudy skies. Per Lionheart standards for this series, Wind 2 miles an hour to the north, 55% humidity as well for this race. So how important for a race like this do you feel the track position is going to be? It's been a talking point, yes, all season, but this is a whole different beast than, say, the Milwaukee Mile or Road America.
Yeah, I think a short answer is I don't know. And I don't think the drivers really know. I mean, some of them will have tried seeing how easy it is to carve through the pack during our practice session just there. But I don't think anyone really knows what to expect during this race. I suppose, in a way, the fact that it's a 50 laps long means qualifying might not be too critical because you've got plenty of time to work your way up front. I'm assuming we'll definitely have a couple of rounds of pit stops during this event. Let's not forget that when we raced at Milwaukee, that we had several cautions during that race, so there were all different kinds of strategies being played out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar here today.
First drivers are still trying to make their way around the racetrack, by the way. Just Aaron Morgan and Ricky Harden yet to come onto the racetrack. Here's Andrew Kinsella. He needs the pole today to have any sort of mathematical shot of the championship. This time by, on the stopwatch, of 55.468. That is 3/10 off the pole from Trevor Malone.
Yeah, I wonder if some drivers are running a little bit high coming out of turn 4 on their first lap just to give them an extra boost for their second lap. It looks like they're already up to speed at the end of their out lap, so maybe that lap time from Trevor Malone will be hard to beat. We'll wait and see what everyone can do on lap number 2 here as Ken Hacker starts his first of 2 timed laps.
Should note that Adam Blocker hit the wall on his first attempt for qualifying. He's now pulled the tow. Tom Drayling playing double duty again with the major series of 55.117. The pole time still a 55.114 from Trevor Malone. The 41 needs a quick time to have any chance. No, not quicker at all. First lap seems to be the one you need to be able to capitalize on in the qualifying as Ricky Harden's now on track.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of, just the tyres scrubbing, getting a little bit too hot, getting a little bit worn is making a few difference of a few hundredths to maybe even a tenth of a second, making these drivers slower on lap number 2, as you mentioned. So that lap time from Trevor Malone, the 55.114, may very well not be beaten. We'll see if Adam Blocker gets out there again, although I've seen him start from the back before, and he's a very smart driver. He's not only very fast, he's very smart. He'll try and methodically work his way up to the front.
Mike Rasmus, an oval specialist known for his stock car abilities, T7, missed out on that RTP cut, I believe, in terms of what was a crazy finale at Phoenix. Still a minute to go on the board as Ricky Harden now tries to put a time in. Him, Blocker, and Morgan yet to qualify for a time. It's a 55.4 for Ricky Harden. That's enough to only get him to 15th. Well, Tommy Ryan's pulling off the track completely.
Yeah, Aaron Morgan's not on track, but Adam Blocker is. And he is on the timed lap now, I think. So he's coming off of turn 4. Let's see as we watch to see what Ken Hacker can do. He hasn't improved, but what about Blocker?
This is the only chance he has, a 55.1. That is good enough still for P4. So the only driver yet to even attempt a qualifying run. Aaron Morgan. Ricky Harden looking to bump up his time, needs to gain about 3/10. This is the last car who will put in a time in qualifying. Where will this orange and purple machine be? A little bit quicker. Not enough to gain any positions though on the racetrack. 19 drivers put in times. 20 are at the track today for the season finale for the HyperX Summer Series. Let's take a look at how things will start for today's field as we get ready for the 50-lap main event here at the Brickyard. On the pole today, it's Trevor Malone with a 55. 0.114, with Ken Hacker, Conor Harrington, and Adam Blocker your top 4 positions. Matt Taylor rounds out the top 5 with Tom Drayling and Tyler Graff in 7th. Keep in mind, with qualifying runs today from Graff and Kinsella, both are now out of contention for the championship mathematically. Mike Rasmus, Brian Greenlee, and Tommy Ryan round out your top 10.
Yeah, just 100ths behind Tommy Ryan is Big Joe Hassett down in 11th. Alongside him, Bart Workman. Paul Jenkins starting 13th alongside Chris Fowler. Ryan Otis and Ricky Hardin, 2 fast drivers, but they got to work their way up from row number 8. Andrew Kinsella and league organizer George Anzaldo starting towards the back of the field ahead of James Kahula, our winner from Milwaukee, and Aaron Morgan. So what this tells me, Justin, is Morgan is very much thinking big picture, because he's the only driver who hasn't turned a lap in qualifying. He's starting 20th and last on the grid. He comes into this race with a healthy points lead. I almost wonder if he's going to be content just to ride around at the back and points race, at least for the first half of this event.
Yeah, as long as he survives, he's in a decent spot. P20 scores 25 points in the race. So keep that mathematical total in mind as we get rolling. 1 stop expected on the fuel mileage up to 35 laps. All these drivers ready to see how things fare out, though. The question's going to be, will that end up being a factor under green with how the practice has been for these competitors and how crazy this field can be today?
Again, I don't think we're fully prepared for what's about to take place. In Lionheart, in IndyCar, Retro, and in this series as well, we do practice races all the time, we do practice starts all the time, but when you finally put a full field of, in this case, 20 cars down there, it drives differently. Everyone's behaving a bit differently because they know it's race time, it's money time. You know, you can't afford to just trash your car. Although the fact that we have 1 fast repair might alter everyone's mindset a little bit. And the other thing is, when you put a full field of cars down on the field, especially for the cars, drivers at the back, they're going to handle differently because of the aero wash and everything. Although I must say, it doesn't look like in practice there was a whole lot of aero wash. Maybe some drivers were doing some lifting that we obviously couldn't see from up here in the booth, but it didn't look like anyone was going into the turn too low and pushing up high towards the wall. You know, most incidents were cars hitting each other, not necessarily cars messing up the corners on their own.
See how things fare out, though, with now the points being raced for. Final round of the HyperX Summer Series about to get underway. Conor Harrington, prior to the start of this race, said he's expecting this to be the wild race ever. We're underway from Indianapolis for round 4 of the HyperX Summer Series.
Ken Hacker tried to pull down right from the get-go. I think he saw Conor didn't get a great start, was trying to see if the inside lane was open for him. It wasn't, and as a matter of fact, the high line is not the place to be right now, because Ken Hacker's already dropped back from 2nd to about 5th place.
Already 3 spots lost for Matt Taylor as well. Morgan's already up to 19th spot with James Grahula backing off, but already there's that draft snake, a massive bit of speed to take the race lead. It's Conor Harrington with the help of Blocker.
Yeah, so the top 3 have broken away a little bit here, but I don't think that will last too long. So it's Harrington ahead of Blocker, as you mentioned, and the top 3 cars have about half a second gap over the rest, but it'll be interesting to see if Fork on Back can run that lead down. I'm sure they can, but how quickly can they do it?
Speeds right now for the lead pack, 170 miles an hour. It cut out the second. Trevor Malone ducked out. Conor Harrington, though, gets himself a bonus point for a lead lap, as now the pack is already closed up just like that, like you normally see for a super speedway race.
So all 20 cars still in the lead pack. Aaron Morgan, our championship leader, the last one of those. Trevor Malone going to try and make a move. No, he's not. He's going to stay in 3rd position. These cars aren't getting massive runs. I think that's why the pack is kind of staying glued together like this throughout practice and throughout the first couple of laps here. I don't know if the drivers are just backing off, but it doesn't seem like anyone's getting like a super run on anybody. They just gradually use the slipstream to catch up with each other.
Huge bump draft from Blocker, by the way. Now on your screen, you can see Harrington locking the bumpers, almost like from the early 2010 stock cars for NASCAR. But Trevor Malone gets the run on the bottom side. Mike Rasmus trying to make a move. So is Big Joe, and yes, you're reading that ticker right. Big Joe going with this nickname today. Purple and whitish car.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen Joe Hassett do that. Go with his nickname, Big Joe. So Connor's dropped. Oh, there we go. Contact up into the high line. 2 cars involved. Let's see if the rest of the field's able to get around it.
Caution is out. That is Tom Drelling involved in that one. One car, I believe, also may have got a little bit more damage in that, but still, the 54 is upside down. First yellow of the race coming on lap number 3. Let's take a look at the Gsrc replay. As this was a trouble spot in practice, trying to clear themselves.
Yeah, that was Ken Hacker. Ken Hacker had a run on Mike Rasmus. I think he was trying to pull out, and he thought he was clear, and he was not clear. Drelin was on the outside of him there. So Ken Hacker and Tom Drelin involved. You see, he just realizes the inside lane's going nothing. He hit nowhere. He thought he had a hole. Nope, not clear.
Like we're going to trigger your first faster pairs of the evening. It's still outside the fuel window because the pit window estimated was lap 30 to 35. So we still are outside that number to actually make it on the gas here with the quickie caution flag here. This is a big track, meaning it's a quickie yellow circuit.
Yeah, and I'm sure the drivers will appreciate that. It's always a bit dull here on iRacing and also in the real world when you have a lengthy caution at a long racetrack and you're kind of just sitting around thinking about what you're going to have for dinner that night. Hopefully, this means that there'll be enough time for Tom Drelin to tow to the pits and get back out in his spare car on the lead lap, if not only one lap down, because if he's one lap down, I'm sure he'll be able to find a way to get back onto the lead lap when we have another caution later on.
So one of your biggest movers, by the way, is Ricky Harden, up 6 positions. Want to give him a shout out because as the cars go off cycle, including Harden, for some more top offs on fuel, he won his first career Lionheart race in the Retro Series earlier this week on Thursday. That came by just 8/1000ths of a second over Dustin Wardlow at Michigan in what was a thriller, which seen 38 lead changes over the 100-lap event in the course of an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's been really interesting this season in the Lionheart IndyCar Series and the Lionheart Retro Series as we see the back half of the field pitting now. If you enjoy what you see today and you think these drivers have a lot of talent out there and would like to follow them in the future, tune in to the iRacing Esports Network and GSRC on Wednesday and Thursday nights because they all do battle. And as you mentioned, we've had a few names this season being able to pull off their first wins over in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. I know Mike Rasmus, I believe, got a win at Pocono. We just had Tony Sherwin get his first ever win, which surprised the heck out of me. I was sure Tony Sherwin had wins in the past. So it's been an interesting time in Lionheart. We have some very big names out there dominating several races. Name that's probably familiar to a lot of our viewers is Sage Karam. But every now and then you have one of those chaotic races where a name you don't normally see up front is picking off a win, and maybe one day I'll be one of those, but it hasn't happened yet.
Not quite yet. Still, lights are not out yet. Expecting that this time by to reset your top 10 now as a result with the caution flag. It's Harrington, Blocker, Malone and Rasmus, Joe Hassert, Graf, Workman, Enzardo, Greenlee, and Otis. And you said it yourself, you expected a calm race from Aaron Morgan. He has stayed at the back so far and out of trouble. Everyone has finished up their faster pairs and or their sequences. Ken Hacker a 6-second stop for his faster pair. Tom Drelling took 3 minutes to get back going from the toe as we get the one to go.
Yeah, and some viewers who might not be used to races that have one faster repair in them, they might be thinking, well, you know, why doesn't Aaron Morgan be a bit more aggressive now? Well, for all we know, this could be a very ugly race. You know, we're only 5 laps into a 50-lap race, and we've already had a 2-car incident. And lucky it didn't involve more cars, to be honest. If you're racing for a championship, you want to save that free repair as long as you possibly can. Hopefully, never even use it at all. Because you never know when you're going to need it, especially something as unpredictable as this.
Have to wait and see. Look into the calculations real quick in terms of points. Again, the furthest back that your points leader Morgan can go is 20th in this field for obvious reasons. Well, there's only 20 cars. But the points total is 25. The cushion would be about 17-ish from, say, where he is, for example, which would be about 6th in the standings. Keep that in mind. Ryan Oates is essentially needing a massively big win today, likely, to try and win this championship to get enough points to put him over that edge. Keep an eye on him. He's in 10th position early in this race. 6 laps down, coming to the start of lap 7. Pace car is off. Field in the hands of the 44 and the 74. Green flag now waves up in the air.
80 miles an hour was the speed they're going when Conor Harrington hits the loud pedal, and those drivers starting up high saw how the initial start worked out and realized what they need to do is get down low as quickly as possible. So that's exactly what Adam Blocker has done and moved ahead of Trevor Malone there in 3rd position. And I think Mike Russimus is kind of just stuck up high there, and he might drop all the way back to 5th place. Tom Draylin did get back out on track, by the way. He is in that pack 1 lap down.
Massive bump draft on the top line, but everybody to the bottom, and as expected, someone trying to force it down. That's Rasmus right underneath Big Joe, looking to take away 4th, and a massive boost with the bump draft for 3rd spot as Blocker now wants to lead for the first time, and does.
Yeah, Blocker realised he just had enough space to pull off that move to the inside. Conor Harrington does not have a lot of momentum up high there, and so a lot of cars going down him on the low side, but you can see them all trying to side draft each other, everyone taking a bit of risk and knowing they have that one fast repair if they need it. But so far, keeping it clean up front as they head into turns 1 and 2, with Blocker controlling the field, but now cars coming to his inside.
Trevor Malone, your pole sitter, wanting the lead back again. Rasmus finding some help from behind from Tyler Graff on the bottom line. Also a tandem draft coming with a couple more, such as Workman working his way forward. Once again, Harrington now wants to lead the race in 3 and 4.
Yeah, Harrington gave Blocker a bit of a bump draft down there on the back straight, so these two normally fighting for wins and fighting on track, but today they're working together a little bit to get themselves up front into positions 1 and 2, and here comes number 34 of Trevor Malone. He got too much of a run. I think he had to back on out of it, and that's why he couldn't take the lead.
And Joe with a huge shot pushes Blocker back up to the point. Top line dissipates though. Still enough momentum for Joe Hazard to try and nearly clear himself, and does. What a shove from the 11 car once again.
There's no real point in us giving you a race rundown or anything, because it seems to change every 5 seconds. Thank goodness for our left-hand side ticker on your screen there that you can follow. You can also follow us at gsrc.tv. Adam Blocker leading the field through turns 3 and 4, and things getting close for 2nd.
Still side by side for 2nd, with Harrington having the preferred line. It seems again, if you want to make passes, you need to be on the bottom, but a caution is out as Brian Greenlee. And Morgan also in the vicinity of the caution.
Yeah, I think Morgan may have got damage from that. He's coming into the pits, getting his fast repair.
Oh, and that may be huge. Take a look as it happened in front of him.
So Greenlee was kind of in the middle there, and Morgan was up high. I've never really understood, especially when you're points racing, why you go to that high side. It gives you less escape routes, I think, if something breaks out in front of you. But there you go. Aaron Morgan was running up high, and that's a fast repair right there.
Also took the closed pit penalty as well. You can see the caution light specifically saying you cannot do that. But still used it. Stays on the lead lap for now. It's an end of longest line penalty essentially for going through a closed pit entry. Now this gets interesting with some of the fuel numbers because it's still technically outside the number, Samuel, by 5 laps. However, with this caution, we'd be going green with about 3 laps outside that window. Do you take the gamble and stay on the track for positioning, or do you try and top it off?
I say come in and top off. I think everyone's going to come in because if we get another caution, here we come. Everyone's coming in. If you get another caution, I don't think you're going to have to pit for tyres. I'm not sure tyres will be a limiting factor at a track where you're pretty much flat out the whole time anyway. So, all these drivers, yes, they'll all be 3 laps short on fuel, but that's if it goes green to the end. And from what we've seen so far, I don't see that happening.
And you could say fuel under green, under the cautions, if there is more caution. Should note that Harrington overran a bit of his box. James Krahula did not pit, however. He was among the drivers who topped off. Just about everybody with quick service, only a couple cars at the most, or even taking tires. I believe that's Matt Taylor on the jacks. Everyone else topped off.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting track position play from Krahula. He was at the back, he's now at the front. If it goes green to the end, everyone has to pit. But here's the thing, let's say we do get one caution. Well, normally, if you were at an oval track where there was tyre wear and everything along those lines, you would think, oh, James Krahula's in great position. If they get a caution, everyone comes into the pits, takes tyres and fuel, and he'll still be leading the race. I'm not sure that's the case. I think if we get another caution, Krahula might be forced to come in for fuel, but everyone else is going to say, nope, my tyres and fuel are good, we're all going to stay out, and that's just going to drop Krahula to the back again. So this is a gamble from Krahula here. We'll see if it pays off.
I mean, we've seen gambles work for him before. Remember, Milwaukee Mile went back and forth on some of the strategy, in turn led 56 laps, in a race dominated by him, Brian Yazik, Tommy Ryan, and Ryan Otis, who led a vast majority of the laps. 6 of those laps went to Robert Mikes as well at the time. So now we'll see how this works out for the number 4 machine, expecting one to go signal this time. Chris Fowler, Adam Blocker, Tommy Ryan, Trevor Malone, Joe Hassert, Ken Hacker, Ricky Hardin, Conor Harrington, George Anzardo, your top 10. Should note Matt Taylor has come down yet again to top off more on the fuel, and that is to be expected when you're at the very back of the field. Gives him an hour lap of fuel to work with here.
Actually, I'm slightly surprised more drivers didn't do that. That seems like a smart idea. Should note that Tom Draylin is back out on the lead lap. And also, another thing we haven't really touched on is the fact they're doing double file restarts here, Justin. Not something we normally see in Lionheart.
We did see it at the Milwaukee Mile, and this is pretty standard for today's racing on the ovals, though, where you line up double file, lead lap cars at the front, lap cars at the back of the field. Then you have the lucky dog / wave around cars towards the tail of the field as well. So it's something seen more standard in stock car racing compared to the traditional formation seen in IndyCar today.
So Krahula's going to lead them back on the low side. Fowler in the 20 car. Adam Blocker in his familiar colours restarting on the inside of Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan has always had that wasp-looking livery. I know he has Northern Tools on his car sometimes in other series. So he's always an easy one to pick out there in that. Not even a bright yellow. It's just dark yellow and black. Whatever it is, it works.
That's been a partnership for many years. If you think back to the early days of GSRC, you competed with those same colors as far back as the Patriot Fire Cup Series. But Set to go back racing. It's James Grahul in control of the field. Much quicker on the gas compared to the last time. The top line caught sleeping. We're back racing.
Yeah, but Blocker on the inside caught sleeping a little bit as well. Fowler getting hung up to dry there as Tommy Ryan finds the gap down low. So Fowler is the one kind of just being dropped back. As to his inside goes Joe in the number 11. And there's actually contact there. Fowler tried to go down low, thought he had more room than what he did, and that's going to send him back even further.
Could have been disastrous, but everybody snaking out James Grahula except for his buddy and Tommy Ryan. Hassert and Blocker now go up to the top line as the whole pack closes back up once again. That helps Ryan get to second.
Yeah, so Grahula just keeping it pinned down low at the moment, knowing, telling everyone that if they're going to pass him, they'll pass him up high. Tommy Ryan, though, I think wants to contest that. He's trying to get down as low as he possibly can. There is a lane there if he wants to force it, and here comes pressure from third position. Joe Hassett is going to go all the way down to the inside and go underneath Tommy Ryan for second.
That was near disastrous there, but the bottom line has been better in the corners as we've seen all race long. But it's been dead even compared on the momentum you get down the straightaway. Ryan with a good amount of momentum again. Bump drafting behind. Grahula nearly got hooked.
Yeah, this is interesting watching these two bump draft down the back straight 170 miles an hour into turn 3. They had a collision during the Indianapolis road course Lionheart race earlier this season. To my knowledge, they had a discussion after that and cleared out the air. They might need another discussion if this ends in disaster, though. Once again, the driver in third place and making it happen down low. That's Ken Hacker.
Hug the bottom and hope for the best seems to be the strategy call so far from Grahula, side by side, 2 rows deep. Oh wow, Malone and Blocker lead the lines a couple car lengths behind. Harden and Fowler also pushing through.
Looks like a start of a race. Looks like a pace lap here down the back straight, this time on lap number 15, but it's not. They're all going 170 miles an hour, and Ken Hacker giving James Grahula a bump draft. I'm surprised that works as well as it does in this car. We've got one car out of line in turn 3.
Trevor Malone got shuffled out big time from a shove going into the corner. Now is way back at the edge of the top 10 is trouble. Harden and Ryan connect. Cars up in the air. That's the back half of the field flipping in the air.
And that's bad news for anyone caught in that who's already used their fast repair. That started with Joe Hassett, Big Joe, and a couple other drivers up at front. Got a little bit of a wiggle. We'll get replays, obviously, work out exactly what happened.
And Aaron Morgan was in it. Significant right side damage. We'll go and take a look. We're good on fuel now, but oh boy. Hard hits to the wall as 3, 4, 5 different cars flipped in the sky as the top 4 ran away from that.
All right, so we got the camera pointing at Joe Hassett here. He gets a tap from Tommy Ryan behind. Tommy Ryan gets loose, and is that Rasmus behind him in the orange car?
It's in the blue car. That was Harden in the orange car. Ouch. Take a look on board.
Yeah, so that's Tommy Ryan reacting or kind of getting checked up by Joe Hassett's spin, and you can see what kind of a run Tommy Ryan had, and the number 28 car there flipping in the background, or maybe that was the 38, that's not a 28. There's all different kinds of carnage going on over there. So what if you're Grahula now? I know obviously we're going to have to give our viewers a damage report. It looks like Chris Fowler, Conor Harrington, and Mike Rasmus all had to tow. But what do you do if you're Grahula here? He has to pit for fuel, surely.
I believe he is going to probably... Is he going to? He's staying out of the car, just hit the wall. That's Tyler Graff who hit the pit wall.
Oh, Tyler Graff couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to pit or not and just drove straight into the pit entry.
Let's take a look and... I mean, I've heard of people getting faked out in the pit wall, but wow. Haven't seen that in about a year or so in the service. So 7th on back, by the way, topped off, and this is why you keep a fast repair. The downside is, remember the fast repair used by Morgan on the last caution, Samuel? He got hit hard on the right front and has to get damage repair done. The bright side, this is a huge track to try and get it done.
Yeah, the other thing is he never had to take a tow. His car can still go. It's probably not going that fast. And actually, he's out of the pits very early. He's already rolling out of pit road. He's still got damage to the car. He had another half a lap where he could be sitting there getting repairs. And if I was him, I would have done that, because even, if a car handles okay, you never know how badly the motor might be damaged on iRacing after a wreck like that. And I would, if I was racing for the championship, if I was Morgan, I'd be sitting in there getting as many repairs as I could to make sure the chance of my engine blowing on later on down the road is as low as possible.
Yeah, we actually did see that from a couple cars at Milwaukee Mile with that type of damage. Have that exact situation. Tom Drelling, by the way, having to get significant damage repair done. Rasmus, Fowler, and Harrington have all lost a lap after having to get a tow after, well, when you get flown into the sky and kind of don't feel the ground on your tires, it kind of hurts things. Graf, by the way, coming into pit because, well, when you hit the pit wall, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Signal.
And that's his free repair out of a window. And of course, so here we sit to give our viewers again an idea of why you want to save your free repair. We've had 3 cautions already. We're not even halfway. And the thing that having a fast repair on iRacing does is it keeps the cars out there, which of course is good for us. It's good for the show. It means we've still got 20 cars on the track. But it means if we have another big incident like what we just saw, we're not going to have as many cars, because a lot of those drivers out there now have already used up their lifeline.
I think all but 3 of them maybe have used at least their fast repair or had to get some type of damage repair. But it's Krahula, Hacker, Blocker, and Hassert, along with Ryan Otis, who did not pit under the caution. Krahula is still outside that expected window. He was one of the drivers who topped off on the gas a little while ago. Then it is Jenkins, Workman, Taylor, Kinsella, along with Enzardo, among the many drivers who were involved in incidents. 16 cars will be in the lead lap for this restart. This could get crazy yet again.
And probably will. I mean, most of these drivers, let's not forget, even though we have a championship going on, most of these drivers aren't in it. They're just out here racing for the win and racing to have fun. And so I think this isn't going to change the kind of racing that we've seen at all. And I definitely don't think we've seen the last yellow yet.
Don't think so either, as Tom Drelling did not come back on the racetrack after the caution. We're back under green and we're wrecking at the back already. 3 wide already at the back of the field. What in the world?
I went back and looked. That was Chris Fowler. And it wasn't really that he spun into the wall. I think he just turned hard left to try and make a pass at the start and kind of drove into the wall. There must be a magnet in it if Graf and Fowler going in it that easily.
They are fighting for the lucky dog back there as they fight for the race lead. Blocker. Better run. No help for Krahula this time. Run dies out though as Hacker goes to the bottom.
It's James Krahula edges out the battle up front right now, but as you mentioned, Ken Hacker with him. And we've actually been seeing this for a few laps now, James Krahula leading the inside and Ken Hacker glued to his rear bumper.
Bunch of bumping now as well as big run from the top line. Krahula leads this time. Near snap to the right yet again. That's the second time someone's bumped Krahula and he's nearly snapped it to the right.
Adam Blocker trying his hardest to make this outside work, and I think that's Joe Hassett back there helping him out. But again, we're seeing pretty much a pace lap formation, double file, Although one driver there, Ryan Otis, trying to make it a bit interesting. That's the first time we've mentioned his name today.
In the top 5 for the first time, so is Kinsella now in the top 6. Paul Jenkins, remember, among the drivers who had to get massive repairs done and fast repair usages. Whole pack separated by just 1.4 seconds for the lead lap cars. Everyone is in this group. Chris Fowler, by the way, has also ducked off the racetrack after his trouble on the start.
And
Adam Blocker to the lead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I wanted to see if a blocker was going to be able to clear Krahula, and he was, but then he immediately goes back up high. So the low line, if you're doing a solo car run, is the quickest way around, but it looks like the high line might have something right now while they're racing in pack formation. 3 different lanes here. Kinsella going to try and make something happen. Lots of tandem racing going on down the back straight.
Chris Fowler now out of the race. Take him out of the championship contention conversation. Mike Rasmus currently not in position for the title, but is in the lucky dog spot. So, could be down to the final couple of laps to determine this championship. Big blocks again. Krahula to the lead. Big Joe has been giving some big shoves today. 29 to go.
Yeah, so Krahula is staying committed to the low line, and Blocker there was staying committed to the high line, and it's really a matter of which line has the most help that's determining who's leading this race. Hassett came up down low and gave Krahula that bump. Now, Blocker is still in 3rd place, but what I think will happen here is as soon as he runs that front couple down, you'll see Blocker go back up high and hope for Ken Hacker or Andrew Kinsella to get to his back bumper.
The only other driver in championship contention outside of Morgan, your points leader now, is Ryan Otis. Keep an eye on him. He's the 2nd car in that 2nd group in the bottom. Everyone else snaking down to the bottom of the racetrack. Joe has been hooked to the back bumper of everybody in front of him. He's been the helper car. Now it's through 3 wide behind him as Kinsella door-to-door contact with Ken Hacker.
Yeah, Ken Hacker goes up high there, might fade back a little bit as Blocker gets a run on the top 2, but he doesn't have anybody there to help him.
Cars are starting to push up a little bit on the corner exits here, it seems, as the tires start to wear out. This is one of our longest runs of the day, and already 2 packs have formed. Your first group involving the lead lap cars, your second group involving some who had already used a fast repair. Otis now leads the Pack 1B in these lead group of cars.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation you pointed out there, Justin. We are starting to see these cars slide the front. So this is great news for James Krahula. If we go about another 10 laps and have a caution, I think they're sliding enough that everyone might want to come in to get new tyres for the final stint of a race. And that could be a blessing for James, because that means he can pit for fuel and not drop to the back. Because let's not forget that Krahula, I don't think, has pit yet. He doesn't have enough fuel to make it to the end of this race.
He did top off on the first caution, but that's it. No other stop as they're 3 wide. That is, once again, Mike Rasmus, believe, on the bottom side. That's your lucky dog fighting with the race leaders.
Yeah, well, it's the easiest way, well, maybe not the easiest way, but the most guaranteed way to get a lap back, isn't it, is lead the pack. Get up there in front of Krahula.
I mean, it's not the most popular way if you're a lead lap car, though.
Yeah, but every now and then you kind of realize, I'd probably be trying to do the same thing. Oh boy, Finn's getting tight there down into the first corner.
And a blocker up the track, and now Mike Rasmus trying to give the shove to Ryan Otis. Rasmus looking to unlap himself here and try and be the lead car in the group. Once again, bump drafting, 2x2 tandem drafting. As that hole closes up on the bottom side, this may shuffle Rasmus in the corner.
Yeah, he's quite well connected to Ryan Otis, so even though they don't have a lot of momentum right now, they might get some down the front straight and might be able to make something happen. We'll see what Otis's strategy is if he can get to the front, because he might be heading that way.
There's the push coming in now. Mike Rasmus, known outside of Lionheart for his speed with Nexus Esports, trying to push Ryan Otis to the spot he needs to be for the race lead for any shot for the title.
I think Ryan Otis should know this car quite well. He's done lots of different sports car racing in the past, so that might be giving him a little bit of an advantage here. So here we go, Ryan Otis to the point, and second place is still James Krahula, but he's got to keep an eye out on Mike Rasmus, because Rasmus will want to try and get back onto the lead lap. Even though really the only driver Rasmus is racing is Conor Harrington, as long as Rasmus stays ahead of Harrington, he's in that lucky dog position, but that's not his plan. He wants to lead the pack.
Yeah, has the preferred line, and once again, Big Joe with the shove. In fact, I think the lead lap cars are saying, you know what? We know you have the oval experience in a stock car. How about you try and flex those muscles in a lap yourself? He's now the lead car in the pack, as now near contact for the race lead itself.
Yeah, Otis and Ken Hacker getting very close at the apex of turn 2 there, and they're going 3 wide. So the battle for second on track is actually the battle for the lead, and Otis is leading that right now. By the way, Mike Rasmus doesn't really have to worry about Conor Harrington. Harrington is far back in this field.
Yeah, way back. He's actually in that second stanchion we talked about 12 on back, which is starting to close back in. Past the halfway point, 24 laps to go this time. Now just 11 lead lap cars plus the lucky dog fighting in the lead group, 2 by 2 up towards the battle for third. Check that second. As near contact as Otis gets moved up.
Yeah, Otis thought he had to get down low and he didn't. So all this is taking place behind Rasmus, who is in the safest position if a big wreck breaks out, and there almost is one in turn 2 as well.
Now Rasmus now getting shuffled as they crash. That's Tommy Ryan, Ken Hacker, Adam Kinsella. No caution flag. Ryan Otis now leads as Ryan is going backwards on the track.
There's still no caution.
You'd have to think Ryan may trigger it, but we don't get it. Lead still active now as Rasmus again cuts to the bottom, trying to get his lap back.
And Hassett's gone to the lead, so Hassett and Otis are side by side fighting for the lead. And Rasmus, as you mentioned, following Hassett around, but 1 lap down, so Otis is still in second position ahead of James Krahula. They're up on the high side, and Big Joe actually has a little bit of a buffer of the with the lapped car behind him. So the back straight is clear. No incident here. They can keep racing.
All cars are off the track. Tommy Ryan off the circuit. Ken Hacker has pulled into the pit lane. Kinsella has kept it on the track in 14th. So, now in total, about 14 total cars, 13 in the lead lap in the lead pack. Rasmus nearly snapped it up the track.
Yeah, Rasmus and Hassett have actually drove away a few car lengths from the rest of the field, but now they're going to run them down the front straight here. So yeah, it seems like we're not seeing wrecks in the corners. They're all taking place down the back straight.
Fairly chaotic, to say the least. As now that top line forms up and Rasmus ditches him. Now he wants that lap back and he's taking Ryan Otis with him. 4-car bump draft. Up on top is Blocker and Krahul with them. Also, Tyler Graff has now joined the party again as they're 3 wide.
A very aggressive move by Ricky Hardin to try and force a 3 wide on the inside there going into turn 3. It didn't work, but honestly, he's lucky it didn't end up in tears.
Or in fisticuffs, to say the very least, based on what we've seen today. Now the tandem draft for the overall lead. Otis still trying to push. Bit of a bobble. Blocker nearly snapped it around on the corner entry. What a save as he takes the lead.
Well, the thing is I think these drivers racing aggressively for the lead all still have a free repair left, but if they do cause a big one, everyone in the back half of the field is going to end up getting wiped out as Adam Blocker. And boy, we got cars jumping in the grass there, going through, beating on each other's fenders, but they're keeping it pointing the right way for now. How's this going to work out?
Where in the world is Ricky Harden going? He's now trying to give the shot to Rasmus. He nearly hooks him. Now Graf to the bottom side trying to avoid as Otis trying to find a hole in all this. 3 wide again behind him again for P3. A huge run for Korhula.
I'm not sure how much longer they can keep all this up. So Ricky Hardin leading the race. He won the most recent Lionheart race, trying to make it 2 in a row. But boy, there's a lot of racing still to go. 18 laps around here.
This is going to be nerve-wracking, and it looks like Hardin trying to find a way to pull, but the problem is, when you reach the max of 170 miles an hour, you're not going to be able to try and brake with this huge toe from behind. A triple, quadruple toe allows everyone back on in, yet again. By the way, don't forget, they're running 53s and 54-second lap times. You have no draft, you're running at 1 minute times like Kinsella with that significant damage. He may be a factor in this in the next couple laps if we keep going with 19 to go.
And Darren Morgan is still in the top 10. Might want to give our points leader a shout out there. So here we go. Ricky Hardin continues to lead the race, but not the pack because of Mike Resimes. They're starting to get side by side again. It was a bit single file last lap around, but I think the battle is about to brew again as we come down into turn 3.
Down the back straightaway yet again as Rasmus controls the bubble. Can someone try and pop it? Locker tries it. Big shove from Graf in the entry there once again, though. Hardin trying to get the toe on the bottom side. Near contact again on the checkup. And Morgan's going to need to be careful here. You talked about him. He's up to 7th position, the highest he's been all night. Despite the damage, he's in the position right now where he can win the championship as long as he doesn't get collected in trouble. Everyone snakes into one.
This has got to be a little bit annoying for Mike Resimes. He's watching all these near wrecks happen behind him, thinking, come on guys, Rex, I can catch up with you and race you for the win. But so far they're keeping it clean, and Resimes is going to have to go defensive once again. Of course, he doesn't. He's racing defensively, but he doesn't mind if they all have an incident. Flashing his headlights there, no one in front of him. I think he's just enjoying himself.
Yeah, I think everyone's just taking this in stride and planning things about accordingly, because you will see this if you have teammates specifically willing to help you and try and help you get the lap. Hardin, he's willing to work with him. Otis, willing to work with him. Hassert was willing to work with him for about 5 laps. So they're willing to work with Rasmus, it seems. They feel comfortable with him.
Yeah, Rasimus is probably thinking, I don't want you guys to work with me. I don't want you to feel comfortable. I want you all to crash. Let's have a caution. Let me catch you all back up.
You can't tell your teammates or your fellow drivers that, otherwise they're going to scream at you, though.
Yeah. Here we go, though. Things getting a little bit dicey from 4th on back again.
Oh!
Where's Otis going?
Otis! That was a triple bump draft as Otis snapped it into the corner. Keep in mind, they now have reached the lap traffic. This is about to get dicey.
Yeah, Andrew Kinsella's racing 20 miles an hour off a pace. They should all just breeze by him, but they're going to... the pack is still going to be passing him heading into turn 1 unless Kinsella backs out a little bit here, and he's going to do that.
I think everyone avoided him, and yes, they did. We stay green. No trouble as the lap car goes to the very back of the pack. Now, Ricky Hardin still your leader. Otis second. Blocker, Graf Korhula, your top 5 for position. Big run from the 95.
Harding given a little bit of a bump draft to Rasmus down the back straight so that he didn't get freight trained too badly. Otis is leading the race. He has the nose ahead, but I think Harding might be able to come back at him through turns 3 and 4 as the sun comes out again. I wonder if we're going to start seeing the car slide again if the track temperature increases.
Track temp 92 degrees right now. Remember, was in the 100s at one point during this session in sim time past 5 p.m. How hot it will get remains to be seen, or if it will get even cooler now, as the air is starting to drop to 77 as well. 14 to go, coming to 13 this time.
Ricky Harding, I think, is quite content right now to stay with Rasmus as long as Rasmus stays low, and he's not going to stay low, and that's going to open the door for Tyler Graf to come down on the low side, and Harding has to abandon Rasmus so that Graf doesn't pass him, and now Harding's up high with Otis, and Tyler Graf is leading the field on the low side.
Morgan's now joining the party as well, up to 5th position. Speeds right now in the corners, 163 miles an hour. At the end of the straightaways, up to about 170. Can Graf find any way to be the lead car in this group? Rasmus a huge shot, another triple bump draft with Blocker giving the shove. Harding and Otis can't get the top line to work into the corner. It's contact! There goes Harding! Big save as Hassard hits him from behind, no caution.
Incredible save here by Ricky Harding. Hopefully we might be able to get a replay of that, but I also want to keep an eye on how the leaders are racing now because things are getting dicey on down the back straight.
Graf wants that buffer car, and quick. He's been competitive in this series. He now wants the lead. Takes the spot from Rasmus to pin him back a lap down, and now has the buffer from him and Blocker.
I find it hilarious if Tyler Graf wins this race after his incident there at pit entry. It will almost be shades of Trace Elliott at the Charlotte Roval last year. All right, here we go then. Tyler Graf with Adam Blocker behind him, and Rasmus is getting shuffled out here.
Well, there's a difference. That was a crash into a tire wall where he had no damage somehow. Tyler Graf's crash was into a concrete wall. The faster pair helping him get to where he needs to be right here, and has some of the more fuel compared to his competitors. 11 to go this time. Morgan now up to 3rd now in the draft.
A fair point you make there. James Kahula surely is going to have to come into the pits at some point soon, and he's dropped all the way to the back of his pack after leading most of the race earlier.
If he has to duck down, though, you don't want to be in the midst of the pack, which is going to try and slipstream onto the entry. Huge bump again from the back end. No peak from Kahula quite yet. He is now on lap 34 of his stint. 11 to go.
Oh, by the way, look who's in 3rd place. Oh, actually, let's not look at that right now because they're racing 3 wide for 3rd. But Aaron Morgan's up here.
Yes, just mention him, but what about the fresh tires? Matt Taylor's up here. Remember, he took tires when everyone else just topped off.
Be curious to hear from him maybe post-race as to how much he thinks that actually helped. We're in the final 10 laps. Lionheart doesn't normally do green-white checkers. I don't know if there's any kind of exception for this series. I wouldn't have thought so. So hopefully, you know, we won't see a caution in the last 4 laps.
See how it happens, though, for the next 10 laps. Off center, but once again for Graf. Blocker to the top, 10 laps to go from the Brickyard. Big shot again as Taylor pushes up the track. No contact, that checks up the bottom line, however.
Conor Harrington still at the back of his pack, so keeping half an eye on his progress on Mike Ressemes. If they're both a lap down, only one of them will get a wave around if a big incident happens. And I would say it looks like it's about to happen, but it's looked like it's about to happen for the last 20 laps, and it hasn't.
And looking at a couple of the numbers, we may have Otis and Blocker close. Remember, they stayed out on one of the other caution flags.
Oh,
they can make it a 5. Hard on the wall. That is 8th place. Kahula, believe it was. No, Jenkins. Paul Jenkins was it.
I'm very surprised that didn't bring out a yellow, because that was on the racetrack. He's still going. Looks like a prototype car almost with the front tore off like that.
Rahul was thinking about coming down the pit in the next couple laps and throw that out the window for now, because we may see another caution at this rate. Blocker getting the help from Rasmus. Taylor hooking up with Graf again on the bottom. Bigger shove though from the top.
I think Rahula can pit and come out on the lead lap still. It might not be a bad idea to do it under green.
He can do it. Yes, he can. But the question is how many more will have to join him here. Blocker along with Otis may have to be in the same box. They're going to be tight on the fuel gauge. 8 to go.
Yeah, I don't think anyone fully anticipated this race having as much green flag racing in the second half as what it has. And the lead pack has kind of broke up a little bit now. So that's going to make a chance of an incident happening a little bit lower. Remember, if a caution comes out with about 4 laps to go or so, we believe that will end it, but you would still have to have enough fuel to get to the checkered.
Top 3 cars are now broken away in the pack at least. The Lucky Dog car in first and second. Rasmus the sandwich between those cars for position. Morgan, Taylor, and Enzardo, though, are trying to regroup, though, to re-close up the gap.
How is Morgan in third? In second, rather.
Well, he is technically in third, but you get good? Is that the term to think about? He's only about a 10th back of the next car in front.
Yes, that's Tyler Graf in second place. Yep, you're correct there. And Graf and Morgan, well, they seem to be content just drafting Adam Blocker for a moment. Maybe they're thinking if they can work together, they can stay ahead of this.
3 wide again as Morgan got shuffled out. He tried to follow Graf's draft down the short chute. Instead, he's now been completely shuffled out with some of the damage.
Yes, I think the top 3 are going to try and stay single file so that they don't have to worry about this mess. So this mess might be where we need to keep the cameras on, because this could get dicey for 4th place. Whereas really these guys need to be working together to run down the top 3.
Bart Workman now joins the picture now. Lap traffic is up the road, 3 wide at the very tail end of the pack. No contact though, as Matt Taylor went from as high as 3rd to the back of the lead group again.
Yeah, you mentioned that lap car of Kinsella, who's been riding around off the pace. He's going to stay up high, I think. Yeah, the leaders are going to have to work their way around him here.
How about 4 wide with the lap traffic? Kurhola says, you know what, why not? He's now second car of the group. Contact. Another big bobble once again. That's Enzardo that gets shuffled around. These cars have lost 2 seconds to Blocker, Graf, and Rasmus on the track. 5 to go.
Yeah, and Rasmus has kind of gotten out of the way of a top 2. I wonder if he realizes they're racing for the win. And I mean, if a caution comes out now, him getting back on the lead lap wouldn't really change anything, because they wouldn't be able to race again. So hopefully it stays green now. But I think it's Blocker and Graf racing for the lead here, and Graf looking to the inside of Block onto the grass.
They're going off into the grass, yes indeed. Graf to the hard inside. 4 to go this time as Blocker tries to squeeze again, though it's Rasmus with the helping hand.
And Rasmussen not afraid to move up into second place. He's still going to try and race these final few laps out, just in case things turn out to be in his favour. But Graf and Blocker are very much the 2 racing for the win, as we are now at 4 laps left to go.
A little bit dicey there for the race lead as Blocker nearly shoves it into the wall. They are still the fastest cars in the track by far in the 54 9s and the 55 flats. The big pack is in the 55 2s.
And Brian Greenleaf's leading there. Oh no, he's not. He gets turned sideways. One car flipping, and we're still green.
Aaron Morgan was in it. He stopped on the track in 11th and just pulled the tow truck. That may be huge. I believe, though, he may be in the cushion if we stay green with Ryan Otis where he is. The next pack still is shuffling about with Tyler Graf still in the lead. The lead group sees Krahula lead pack 2.
Yeah, and the lowest he can drop back, the lowest Morgan, I think, will drop back in timing and scoring is 16th place. So again, we'll see how many points he's able to get for that. We're watching this battle for third, although I'll make a note right now that Blocker is going by Resimes, and he needs to get by Graf because he knows how it works. He needs to be in front in case the yellow flies, and Blocker is battling Graf for the lead into turn 3.
Huge run on the high side. Rasimus is backed off. He'll let these cars fight. Krahula is now indicated on the radio. Meanwhile, he has to pit. He tried staying out, but with 2 to go, Krahula will have to sacrifice the 3rd position for the fuel as Graf to the lead again.
The leaders are going to be fender to fender with 2 laps left to go, and they're testing as soon comes Krahula into the pits. The top 2, Graf and Blocker, are testing each other's runs down the front straight, trying to work out if you do want to be in 2nd place on the final lap. But they've got another factor thrown in here. None of us really know what role Rasimus is going to play on the final lap. Hopefully, he'll stay in 3rd and let these 2 scrap for the win, but that might not necessarily be what he does.
There was Paul Jenkins now trying to move out of the way, and now is trying to shuffle to the bottom of the track with them 3 wide behind. That's going to get hairy. White flag means the race will be official. Next flag would end the race. Graf hard against the curbs. Blocker now trying to build momentum. 1 car in the fence, and Trevor Malone. We stay green as the white flag now waves. They're bumping and banging behind as the white flag now waves at the stripe.
That's a relief to see the white flag come out. I was worried this race would end under yellow. Harrington into the wall back as well. I don't think Jenkins did a very good job at all of getting out of the way, but that's another story. Right now, the story we need to focus on is the battle for the lead and the win. Graf leading Blocker as they come out of turn 2. Blocker can choose to get a run on him here and get the lead. No, Graf covered him off, and it's just a tandem between them. Blocker needs to back off at turns 3 and 4, about a car length, and then try and use the slipstream and get a draft and get the run and edge Graf over the line. I'm sure that's what he's going to do. We'll see how Graf chooses to defend.
Graf takes it as low as he can. Can he become the 3rd winner in this series? Blocker with a huge run. He puts the block on Blocker. Blocker with the side draft. Graf holds on to the bottom. Drag race at the stripe. Who's got it? I believe it was Blocker. 1/1000th of a second. Adam Blocker rips it away at the line.
And Tyler Graf was flashing his headlights thinking he'd won it. He had not. I thought for the longest time that race was going to be Tyler Graf's. We'll get a replay here, but it looks like Graf had Blocker covered right there. He's done a good job at blocking. Blocker realizes he needs to get the best side draft he can. Graf is flashing the headlights right here, thinking he's won it. Blocker says, no, you have not.
Just that little bit of the edge on the high side we've seen from the top line today. Enough for the 74 to get the edge. Closest finish of the season. The Carolina region driver, Adam Blocker, wins the season finale for the Lionheart Racing Series' HyperX Summer Series. While Krahula, he's still trying to finish this race, and does.
In 10th place.
In the words of Ricky Harden, this race was insane. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. You're watching Gsrc for coverage of the HyperX Summer Series. Post-race recap, standings, interviews, and the championship breakdown right after this. Welcome back to the HyperX Summer Series and finale coverage from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the HyperX post-race show. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX. When you're trying to claw your way to the top of the podium, it pays to have an ultra-comfortable, high-quality headset that gives you the audio information you need to grab that checkered flag. From high-performance DRAM and SSDs, outstanding microphones, accurate mics, responsive keyboards, to the legendary cloud line of gaming headsets, HyperX makes the gaming wear you need to succeed. Casual or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Use the promo code LIONHRT15 at hyperxgaming.com. In the end, it was a thriller here. Justin Prince, Samuel Ryman with Sean Ambrose in the director's seat. The official rounded total .002 to the 10,000th. To the first 1,000th, it was 1/1,000th of a second. George Enzardo finished in third, with Bart Workman and Ryan Otis in fifth. Malone, Hardin, Taylor, Greenlee, and Krahua rounded out what was a tight top 10 for much of this race, Samuel.
Yeah, and unfortunately, on page number 2 of timing and scoring here, we get to the casualty department, starting with Mike Rasmus, who was on track, but 1 lap down, stayed out of a battle for the win on the final lap. We're grateful for that. Paul Jenkins finishes a lap down in 12th position. Conor Harrington was a lap down in the final part of the race, but then got involved in a late incident, putting him 2 laps down. Andrew Kinsella, we saw him driving around with a damage in the second half of the race. He finishes 14th ahead of maybe the champion, Aaron Morgan. We're still crunching the numbers on that. He ends up finishing in 15th place. He got 1 position because Big Joe Hassett was caught up in that crash towards the end of the race, so that costed him a couple of laps. And then we come to the drivers who were out of the race earlier on: Ken Hacker, Tommy Ryan, Chris Fowler, and Tom Draylen.
So look top to bottom out your running order for today's race, as your race winner, Adam Blocker, was up front most of the day, and in turn took the checker flag by just about 1/1,000th of a second. Adam, close finish. How do you feel beating Tyler Graff that close at the stripe?
It was a lot of fun. Definitely, not the kind of racing I normally do, but yeah, it was really fun. I knew once Tyler and I sort of broke away with the help of Mike that it was going to be between one of us, and we just kept pulling away from the guys behind. I think with like 3 or 4 to go, I kind of did a test run to see if I was in second, if I could beat him to the line, and I did. So I knew that's where I wanted to be, and I didn't really worry about passing him until out of turn 4.
Was going to say, sounded like a solid play, but how difficult was it to try and plan out this race? Because it seemed like, well, you were willing to shove a lot of cars today in that blue and black machine.
Yeah, well, it was definitely, you just had to take whatever you could get. Like if you were if you were hung out to dry on the outside, you just had to hope that you'd get pushed. But there was a couple times where people just wouldn't go with me, so I just kept pushing people. If you're the car behind pushing, you kind of have control of the destiny. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, and make sure I didn't get hung out and just stay up there. And I knew if I just stay up there, then I would have a chance at the end. So.
Mm-hmm. After all these races, 4 races in this championship, this was the finale. Your thoughts on this series?
This was the only race I was able to do, but it was a lot of fun in the race I did. And yeah, I hope George brings it back next year, and hopefully I can do some more races. Definitely want to thank him and all the admins for putting it on.
Anyone else who want to thank before you let you go?
Just all the guys that made it a good race. I really didn't expect to only have 2 cautions, and in that style of racing, that says a lot about the guys in this league, and yeah, how cleanly we can race even in this style of racing. And thanks to you guys for calling the race.
Congratulations on the victory today. Once again, that's Adam Blocker with your race win, just beating Tyler Graff. And you mentioned it, Samuel, that 26 blinked his lights in excitement, thinking he won the race. Just a little bit short, Samuel, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tyler, I've got to ask you about that. Do you think the change in electrical charge from flashing your headlights might have made a difference there?
I actually wasn't trying to flash the headlights. I was pumping my fist. I thought I had done enough, and I bumped the button. I didn't even realize that until after when I went and watched the replay. I'd thrown a few blocks on him, and I thought they were fair blocks. He wasn't next to me in any of them, and then coming off 4, I thought I did enough to keep him behind me, and then he got next to me, and I didn't want to chop him coming to the flag because that's some Santino Ferrucci crap right there. So I didn't want to do that, but man, that was an absolute blast.
It was fun to watch. I've got to admit, I thought you might have had it coming off of turn 4. It didn't look like Blocker had done enough to get a good enough run on you down that front straight there, but it looked like he was able to pull the side draft and just edge you to the line there. But Tyler, there's another incident that happened during the race. I think you know what we're talking about. Yes, we caught it, so we'll give you a chance to defend yourself.
I just wanted to give the fans a little sizzle.
I thought it was almost Chase Elliott-ish from the Charlotte Roval last season. You wanted to hit the wall and then win the race, and you almost did that.
No, to be completely honest, I was pacing with one hand on the wheel. We were toggling traction control on and off to see if it could help the car through the corners, and I shut it off, and I was like, oh, everyone else is doing the fake pit thing here. We're all having fun. I'll do the fake pit thing too. And I did it. And I turned back to the right. It didn't grip, and it just kind of went straight.
All right. Well, that's kind of an excuse. It's better than you just drove it into the wall. I do want to ask about tires. I know tires is always a bit of a boring thing to talk about, and we had an exciting race. But we're curious. Was the car sliding around on older tires? Did that make a difference?
I actually think I got better. The way the tire model, it's kind of similar to the Lotus 79. At least that's how it felt to me. Beginning of the race, it felt a little bit more pushy. As we kept going, as we kept getting heat in the tires, they just kind of got better and better. At least that's how it felt to my end. I had the clean air at the end, so it was driving a little different than it did behind somebody. But tires are basically a non-issue, I think.
All right. Well, Tyler, anyone you'd like to thank? First off, I'll give you and Graphics a shout out for doing a lot for the paint schemes for this series and all the other series, and we appreciate what you do. We always have very colorful, good-looking fields out there.
Thanks. Yeah, just thank George for putting this together. Thank HyperX. Give us some great products, and they're a great sponsor to the league. So I'm happy to have them here.
All right, and that was Tyler Graf, your second place finisher, but not by much, Justin. And you've caught up with our third place finisher and league organizer.
Yes, indeed. George Anzardo quietly came home in third from 18th position is where he started. First of all, the race, pretty hectic. Your thoughts after coming away with the final step of the podium today and leading that second pack to the line? George Anzardo, do you have a copy?
I gotcha. I'm here. Yeah, you know what? That was exciting. Definitely hectic for sure. Half the time, I mean, we were just nose to tail pretty much the entire race, and at times, you know, you're focusing so much to keep the car steady. You know, the turns would just come up on you, and then you just didn't want to push up to the guy in the second lane again. It was so tight. So yeah, a couple times I found myself just pushing out wide, and then I'd lose the draft and kind of, you know, the bottom line was working. It was just managing traffic. Sometimes the top side was working, other times the bottom, but it was really exciting. The guys did a really great job. Guys were fighting really hard, but giving room. It was a lot of fun. What a great way to end this really fun series here through the summertime. It was great.
Was gonna say, a lot of drivers were happy with how this championship went. How would you describe all of this with the momentum gained and for some drivers wanting to do it again in the future?
Yeah, you know what? I'm happy to hear that. Certainly, throughout the 4 rounds. We would have liked to have seen a few more cars on track, but I was happy to get the car numbers that we did, especially on the weekend. Sometimes people are busy, but yeah, I definitely this has kind of given me some momentum to want to do it again. I definitely want to put on a even bigger and better show for HyperX. They're really important to our series and our organization. They really stepped up big this year in partnering with us. So again, this was just kind of a small way of us giving them a little more airtime and a way of saying thanks for all the amazing things that they've done for us this year. So yeah, I think this was a good trial run and something that I think we really can build off of, make it even bigger and better for next season. So yeah, that's good to hear that the guys want to do it again because I'd love to do it.
Good to hear. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you get going?
Well, just also to remind everyone out there, people who are interested in becoming a part of the Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX, that they can certainly visit our website, lionheartracingseries.com, and fill out a registration form. Our season is getting close to coming to an end, so we're going to definitely be looking to see who the next up-and-coming drivers will be for Lionheart. Also, we're going to be doing our brand new oval series that's still in the works. We're getting all that planned out, but it'll certainly add a lot more opportunity for those drivers who've been hungry and wanting to become part of Lionheart. So definitely check us out. And yeah, you never know who the next driver will be up here winning races and championships. So we're definitely looking for some fresh faces here in the league. And yeah, just want to continue to grow the league and keep up this level of competition. Yeah, so that's basically it. Just check us out, and thank you for your time. Thanks for the great broadcast. Really looking forward to doing this again next year, and yeah, I'm excited to finish out the rest of our regular season.
Congratulations on the run. Congratulations on a strong season for your organization.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks everyone at GSRC too for putting on a great show. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's George Zanzardo coming away with P3. We have the points. And it is official by 26 points. It's Aaron Morgan, who is your 2020 HyperX Summer Series champion. Aaron, it wasn't a pretty race, but you did enough in the first 3 rounds to hold on in front of Ryan Otis, Tyler Graff, Mike Rasmus, and company. How does it feel to be a champion in Lionheart?
It feels pretty good, man. It actually was not very. Yeah, it was a crazy race, but I wasn't stressed out because I did the math beforehand. I knew what Ryan needed was 24 people, and he needed to essentially get 64 points, like all bonus points in that situation to even get it. And we started the race with 20, so I knew I clinched it just from literally the start of the race.
10-4 on that one, but still, it was a crazy race overall where it seemed you played it cautious, then they wrecked at the back, then you brought your damaged car to the front, then they wrecked again. What was it like in the race tonight?
It was actually a lot of fun because I wasn't worried about points. I wasn't stressed at all. Usually this kind of race would have me like really stressed out, because there's a lot of luck involved. But this one I wasn't stressed, especially because they knew when we knew it was going to be bump drafting and stuff, they added the fast repair. So we had one fast repair that saved me after the first wreck. The second one I still had damage, but I could stay in the draft and push. So it was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed that. I usually don't enjoy pack racing at all, but with no stakes to it and just a lot of fun times, everyone in chat together, it was really fun.
He was going to say, some of the previous drivers we spoke with have mentioned they are excited for the future of and hope to race in a series like this again. How would you describe something like this for those who tuned in, say, for the first time or don't know what it's like in the cockpit for this type of a series where you're racing 4 GTs at tracks you normally wouldn't see them at, like the Brickyard Oval?
Just casual fun. I mean, because we race in. I did just get into the top series between the last race and now, and it's like when you race in the IndyCar, Lionheart IndyCar Retro, and even our lower challenge series, it's like it's so serious. You really just want to get the best result ever. But in this, yeah, I did really well in all of them, and I did try my best, but it was just casual fun. It was a good chance to really just laugh and not really care about what happens with everyone in the league, which we don't always get that. Even in practice races, things can get heated because we just want to get laps in practice, and sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But this was just fun. It was good time chatting with everyone. I mean, it would have been cool if y'all could have just heard the way we were freaking out and in the voice just throughout the whole thing with everyone bumping, pushing, shoving. It was fun.
It looked like some fun, and it sounded like some fun on some of the radios there. But in the end, anyone you want to thank for being the champion for this series?
Same as the last 2 wins I got before. Just thanks to George, for putting everything on, setting it up, because it's just a lot of fun, and HyperX for sponsoring the league. That's a huge opportunity. Lets us do stuff like this and just keep expanding, and it's just thanks to all the guys putting it together, because great time.
Congratulations on the championship, and congratulations on the successful campaign.
Thanks so much.
That's Aaron Morgan. Finished 16th today, but it's enough to win the title. He's also your only multi-race winner in this 4-race championship. Samuel, first things first, final thoughts on what was an eventful season where we've seen a lot of twists and turns and a lot of challenges for the drivers, but in the end, it's Aaron Morgan who started off hot, who won the title.
Yeah, and I had the feeling ever since the get-go at Daytona that you wanted to, perform strongly at every race in order to pull off this title. And of course, Morgan ended up winning Daytona. He got 4th at Milwaukee, and he was. Did he win? Yeah, he won at Road America. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, that's his. He got 2 wins out of 4 races, as you mentioned. So a fantastic season. But I'm already looking at the YouTube chat talking about the series as a whole, and it seems that everyone in the competing in the series was enjoying it. We enjoyed it from the booth. I accidentally hit my headset mute button during the race. I have the driver chat on mute so I can, focus on what I need to during the race. And as soon as I hit it, as we heard from Aaron Morgan just there, all I heard was drivers yelling to each other and screaming to each other. It was all in good fun, but it just showed you how enjoyable it was for those guys out there. So I think we've seen a fantastic little summer series. As George mentioned, there's a couple more ideas for an oval-only series in Lionheart coming up in the future to help some drivers coming into Lionheart, get familiar with the drivers, get familiar with the series. And it's great. I mean, this is a fantastic league. It's got many incredible different series out there. That I definitely feel privileged to be a part of, and I think all of the drivers and all of the viewers won today, but in particular Adam Blocker and Aaron Morgan winning the race and winning the championship. They both did a great job.
What a great finale to this one of the more exciting finishes we've seen in the past month or so. In the end, it's Blocker with the win and Morgan the title. I'd like to take the time to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in throughout this entire championship and what has been a unique experience. We'd also like to thank the many sponsors involved with Lionheart, including its IndyCar Series title sponsor, First Medical Equipment, where they've been the source for medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service, as well as the title sponsor for the summer series, HyperX. Whether you play, however you play, HyperX knows. For all gamers, use the promo code LIONHRT15 at hyperxgaming.com. Also, to contact any of the sponsors you see on your screen, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com. I'd like to take the time to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for broadcasts listed up on screen, with additional thanks to Jude Law, who provides our bundled music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the great team today and Samuel and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including its upcoming races, you can find it at Global SimRacing Channel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check the merchandise for sale at gsrc.storenvy.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. As mentioned, this championship has come to its conclusion. 4 races, 4 different fantastic finishes. In the end, 1 champion. We also have plenty of upcoming other races and events coming up, as you'll see on your screen, so check those out and mark them down your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.